at 10.
We begin tonight with new information on the attempted assassination on Donald Trump's life. Authorities say former President Trump is safe tonight after someone opened fire at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. The local district attorney confirms one spectator was killed, 2 were injured, and the apparent shooter also dead. Elected leaders from both sides of the aisle are condemning the attack and sending thoughts and prayers to the former president. NBC's Alice Barr reports from Milwaukee, the site of next week's Republican National Convention.
Former President Trump is safe tonight after a horrifying moment, an apparent assassination attempt at his rally in Butler County, Pennsylvania. The former president writing on Truth Social that he was shot with a bullet that pierced the upper part of his right ear.
It just went pop, 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 pop. And then as I was staring straight ahead, I looked across and I didn't see anything, so I looked back at President Trump, and that's when he went down.
The U.S. Secret Service says it neutralized the shooter, who is now dead. One spectator was killed, 2 others critically injured. The Secret Service saying the shooter fired several shots from an elevated position outside the secured rally venue. The former president had just started speaking shortly after 6 when loud pops rang out. He reached for his ear and dropped to the platform behind the podium as Secret Service agents rushed the stage and surrounded him. Blood could be seen on his right ear running down his cheek toward his mouth, and he pumped his fist to the crowd as he was hustled to a waiting SUV. Former President Trump thanking law enforcement and offering condolences to the person who was killed and those injured. President Biden addressing the nation.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. We cannot allow for this to be happening. We cannot be like this.
As lawmakers and Americans from both sides of the aisle send prayers for healing and for peace. In Milwaukee, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Trump supporters gathered outside of Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago in solidarity of the former president tonight. Trump is not expected to head there tonight, but it has been confirmed that he is out of the hospital. The shooting at the former president's rally happened just 2 days before Republicans were expected to gather in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention. The former president's campaign and the Republican National Committee released a joint statement that said the convention will proceed as planned. Some 50,000 people are expected at the 4-day event, which starts Monday. Former President Trump, the presumptive GOP nominee, will accept the nomination at that forum. Idaho's leaders and lawmakers are reacting to the shooting of the former president as well. Our Jude Binkley joins us with reactions from Idaho's delegation.
Well, Andrea, both the governor and Idaho's congressional delegation have sent out statements about the shooting, all condemning the attack and asking for prayers for the former president.
I really see something that said, take a look at what happened.
The shooting at a Donald Trump rally in Pennsylvania has rattled the nation. Trump is expected to be fine, and the incident has caused reactions to pour in from across the country, including from Idaho's leaders and lawmakers. U.S. Senator Jim Risch said in a statement, "The apparent attempt on President Trump's life in Pennsylvania is absolutely horrific. Vicki and I are praying for President Trump and all those injured in today's despicable incident." U.S. Senator Mike Crapo also shared his reaction, saying, "An apparent assassination attempt against a former president and current candidate for the President of the United States is beyond enraging and wholly un-American. I am praying for Donald Trump and hope he will recover expeditiously. I continue praying for the innocent victims and their families killed or injured by the assassination attempt at Donald Trump's rally today. Acts of political violence are those of cowardice, evil, and weakness. They are devoid of humanity." Representative Mike Simpson said, "Kathy and I thank God that President Trump is safe after today's assassination attempt. We are grateful to the Secret Service and law enforcement who selflessly threw themselves in harm's way to protect the president. Let me be clear, the gunman aimed to nothing less than kill the former president of the United States. This cowardly attack follows years of the left's hateful and evil rhetoric toward Trump and Republicans. Political violence is fundamentally un-American and completely unacceptable. Today is tragic for our nation, but it also must be a moment of unity to get our country back on track. Representative Russ Fulcher said on social media, "The Lord protected President Donald J. Trump. Please join me in praying for our nation." Governor Brad Little also reacted to the apparent attempted assassination, saying, "America needs our candidates to be able to campaign safely. This is a sad day. Prayers for President Trump and praise for our Secret Service." Lieutenant Governor Scott Bedke shared his reaction, saying, "There is no place for such violence in our democratic process. I commend the quick action of the Secret Service and wish President Trump a swift recovery." Attorney General Raul Labrador said, "Let us join today as Americans in praying for President Donald Trump and our nation. We cannot let our country be torn apart by political violence or disregard for the principles that make our republic great. We owe it to those who have sacrificed so much for our nation to preserve our freedoms for the next generation and generations to come. We must rededicate ourselves to civility, even in the midst of passionate disagreement." The Ada County Commissioner shared their reaction to the shooting, saying, "No matter your political beliefs or which candidate you support, what happened today in Pennsylvania is utterly unacceptable. We are relieved that former President Donald Trump is reportedly in stable condition. The swift and effective response by the Secret Service and law enforcement was commendable. We encourage everyone to take this moment to reflect on the state of our nation and consider how we can work together to peacefully address and mend the issues within our system. Our prayers are with President Trump's family, and we wish him a full and speedy recovery." And we're also hearing from the Idaho GOP tonight, who said an attempt was made on President Trump's life. We need prayers for Donald J. Trump, his family, and our country. Andrea.
All right, thank you very much, Jude. Of course, we will continue to follow this story. National news, of course, keeping us abreast of what's happening. Surely lots to develop over the next few days. Thanks, Jude.